Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do you need to see?
All right, welcome back. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame on me. Hear you. We're going to start the court in just a second. Greeters first in chat this afternoon once again. This is, I believe, 6 times in a row, which I believe is the record. I believe that's the record. I'm not going to argue about semantics either. No. Congratulations, Greeners. The internet is still yours. All yours. Quite brave of you to take on ownership of the internet for that long of a period. Usually something goes wrong and you get blamed for it, but you're doing great. Good job. Keep it up, my friend. All right. We are just moments away from returning to the court case, day 14, part 2 of the Karen Reed trial. And would you believe it? I would not if you had told me. Sergeant Buchanan is still on the stand. He's still on the stand. But it might be almost over. Before we went to lunch, we had a brief proffer outside the presence of the jury, a little colloquy between Mr. Jackson and Mr. Buchanan, asking him about what he knew about Proctor's relationship with Brian Higgins, the family there. And apparently, as you know, surprise, surprise, Mr. Buchanan didn't know anything. He had no clue, had no idea whatsoever what happened, never saw the text messages that were read in court when he was there that day, because of the bullying when somebody actually followed him to the bathroom one day at the courthouse. He just decided not to attend court anymore. He's like, that's too much for me. Somebody who came in the bathroom after I went in, and that's where I draw the line. So no knowledge, and because he has no knowledge, no recollection, there will be no questions from Mr. Jackson. We expect those to possibly come in when Mr. Jackson calls Mr. Proctor, which will be a fun time. I think if I were Massachusetts State Police, I would be interested in seeing if there was a position available for Mr. Buchanan that did not involve leadership. I don't know how they can look at this and be like, "M.A. proud," you know. How do you do that? Where you've got someone on the stand who has an extremely selective memory, doesn't remember anything that could possibly make him look bad. And the people who do look bad and who, in their own words, did bad things, he says are honorable and integrous. It's tough. You can do better, Massachusetts. You can do better. All right. Thanks for recapping the morning session. I was trying to work and listen. Missed a ton, Angie. It was a lot of questioning. And I will give this to Sergeant Buchanan. He dialed back his snark level substantially today. He accepted things a little more readily, acknowledged what was just there to acknowledge, or what he knew he would be forced to acknowledge eventually if he denied it. And we got through things a little bit faster than normal. He's still not wanting to use Alan Jackson's words or Proctor's words or the head guy over the investigation, the internal affairs investigation's words, as far as identifying Mr. Proctor as the lead investigator on the case. He's got different terms for that, but let's not argue about semantics. So it does come across as someone is not being truthful. Kelly says Proctor is not coming. Well, Proctor is definitely not coming for the state, but he's listed as a witness. He's literally been listed. The jury has been.
I'm not going to argue about semantics.
The jury has been, asked about whether or not they have any knowledge or relation to him. So they've been vetted.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye, hear ye. They've been vetted so they can know, they can sit. The jury doesn't know him. That's good. He can be a witness, but the question is, can he once he's been fired? All right.
I don't like podiums, Your Honor.
I don't like podiums either. Oh, Discord. I have to enable Discord really quickly. Hang on one second. Hold, please. It's almost like you called me during the lunch break, Amber, and I forgot to do something. Chat commands. Discord. Active. Refresh. All right. Discord has put a couple security measures in place. So if you go in there and it says you have to re-authenticate or something, that's why. I'm trying to tighten some things up there. But Discord is working. If you have not been to Discord before, it is an amazing asset where documents from virtually every case, every trial you can possibly think of, and many that you can't, are stored. And people who are interested in those cases and having discussions about those cases communicate with each other. So, As the Gavel Drops is the name of the Discord. That's not mine. It's a close affiliation to the channel, but I do not own it or control it in any way. It's a little bit confusing, Debbie. I'm confused as well. But As the Gavel Drops is a place to go if you have questions, or if you say, hey, I'd like the documents for that, or has anyone seen the latest filing? And Discord is the place that has it. Some of the stuff they're able to get for free, some of the stuff people pay for and provide for Discord, and then are able to pass it on to you guys for free. It's a great, great resource, and I know other creators as well as myself use it. So thank you. Rebecca says, Greeners, I love you, but I don't like you right now. Happy 28 months, Rebecca. Thank you very much. Congratulations, OG. I just don't like Greeners right now, that's all. All right. What is vetted? Oh, just to authenticate users and things like that, so we don't have like trolls or something in there. All right. Here we go. It got quiet, which means it's about to get loud again. We do anticipate that at some point today we're going to have testimony from a couple of children. I'd say John's adopted children is who we anticipate getting testimony from if we ever finish with Yuri Buchanan. And when that happens, the court has ordered no video, no mics, which means only fan. And I don't know how long that's going to last, so that might be sort of like end of day for us when that happens. With it being 1:30 right now and the court ending by 4, I imagine as soon as we go to that portion of the testimony, it's pretty much end of day, and we won't really have anything to come back to after that. The defense did say they're going to call Proctor. We'll see if
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
I'm not going to argue about that. We'll see if they actually do. How old are they now? I believe they're still under 18. So children shouldn't be allowed to testify. They had nothing to do with the incident. Gilly May, I disagree. They're mentioned specifically by Karen in text messages around that time frame.
I was told counsel wanted to see me inside back.
You guys are having too much fun with these sound effects. Dave says, search young boy metal detecting Canada when you have time. That sounds awesome. You know I'm a sucker for metal detecting videos.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Heavy rain near me right now, apparently.
For the record, I don't consent to that name.
just looking at the video. We did get video today of Higgins with the plow. I'm not sure what we're supposed to learn from this. Let me show you a little bit about what that looked like, going back just a tiny bit. Audio is still on from court, so we're not going to miss anything. I'm gonna play this fast.
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
So we're gonna back it up a little bit until we can see what happened. Okay, so this is our footage from outside the police station, and this was early in the morning, about 1:30 roughly. All this happens around that time, around the police station, and surprise, surprise, it was actually snowing. It was snowing. So the snow's coming down, and we see headlights come into the parking lot right here, and we're waiting for. Come on. There we go. Brian Higgins' Jeep rolls by. It has on the front of it a plow. You can see here as we go frame by frame. It's a nice little two-door Wrangler with a plow, and he drives around and parks on the backside right here. And I can't tell. I can't tell if the plow drops right here. Does the plow go down or does it stay where it is? I can't see if he drops the plow or not. So he sits there in the truck and then opens the door. This is not Burger King. People comes out and stands there with what I see is a phone in his hand. See that? You see the?
I was told counsel wanted to see me inside.
Guys, knock it off. No drop. Okay, so he sits there with the phone in his hand, puts it up to his ear maybe, puts it back down, then walks into the police station. We switch to another camera angle to see that. Mr. Buchanan can't tell that this is Brian Albert yet. That's all right. We'll get to it. He says, nope, doesn't look like him, just some guy with a Jeep. Get the next angle, and this is right next to that, sort of panning to the right. We see Mr. Albert walk by in that same outfit and continues to walk by the screen, off the screen. Now we get one more angle, a little bit closer to the, this is 127. We have to get the timestamps. I forgot timestamps. Go back. Timestamp from the first one, 127:32. Going forward, this is the 127:43. So a few seconds later, by the sallyport outside, we see him walk in to the door. Now, once he goes inside, is what I want to show you. He opens the door. Next one, next clip, we go down to the bottom. This is at 128:03, so roughly 20 seconds after the last video started. Here's Brian Albert coming towards us with his hand in his pocket. What does he have in his pockets? His left hand stays in the pocket. We identify that it is, in fact, Brian Higgins, and he walks in with his hand, remains in his pocket through here. Now, he sits there inside for just a minute, and then he comes back outside just a few minutes later, 128:16, and wait for that. Yeah, 128:16. Here we go. Now he has something in his right hand. There's the time, 129:42. And right here when he walks out, he's got also something in his left hand. Maybe car fobs is my guess. He has car fobs or something. It looks too small to be a cell phone. Doesn't look lighted up. He's grabbing all the keys. He's got all the keys. Goes off camera for a while. 134. When he comes back and walks away, there's the back of his shirt at 134:15. A few minutes went by, like 6 minutes went by, and he walks down with his other hand in his pockets, or not. He has something right there. What's that? In his hand. He's maybe looking at something, and then he puts it in his pocket. Still waiting. We're not missing anything. That's just OnlyFans is all we're seeing. Outside, he exits the building. This is when we couldn't tell if he was on the phone or not. Let me just show you. He does appear to be on the phone, right? Let's see. This is 134:40. Right here. If we look at that step, you've got his hand up to his head. He appears to be on the phone for the duration of this little moonwalk. Walks off the screen. There he goes. Now back to We're watching the whole thing in reverse. There's the phone again, still up to his ear as he walks along at 134.53. Very much a phone. Continues off frame. Now heads back towards the Jeep. Zoom in at the time. 135.08. And now he goes back to the Jeep. And I'm not sure exactly what he's doing here, but he looks around. He's still on the phone, okay, because he's still got his hand up to his ear. Still holding the phone up. Looks around in front of the Jeep. Walks around the passenger side. And we can see from the shadow behind the Jeep that he's walked over. He's sort of going across the parking lot, sort of behind the truck, winding around a little bit. And he goes over to that car in the very back corner in back. Opens the door. Gets in and closes the door. So he's in that back car. We see brake lights come on. Windshield wipers clear the front window. We wait.
You are unmuted.
Sorry, we're back in court. Didn't I say Higgins, not Albert? Did I say Brian Higgins?
Seated, court is in session.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask that GG for identification be moved.
Yes.
What was that? Who brought a jackhammer? The next witness is Woody the Woodpecker.
May I inquire? I'm so sorry. I did it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Just before the lunch break, Sergeant, I asked whether you had engaged in a discussion with the Commonwealth at a prior proceeding in which you were shown a video and you talked about the fairness and accuracy of that particular video in the sallyport when the SUV was first pulled in. And you indicated that you did indicate that it was fair and accurate, correct?
Yes, back then, yes. Yeah.
I want to play a copy, a bit of that video, if I could, please, with the court's permission.
Okay, is it in evidence?
It is not. I would ask that we mark as next in order. Thumb drive.
Yeah, I'm terrible at this. Those two, they're both Brian's is the problem.
Were we marking this for identification, or is there an agreement it's going into evidence?
I'd like it in evidence.
We agree with the stipulation that it's authentic.
I'm not going to argue metadata issues or authenticity issues. So.
All right, so is there a stipulation that this is authentic? Okay, so folks, again, a stipulation means the parties agree, and with that, I will allow this into evidence as the next exhibit. Madam Court Reporter?
Brennan gets in, will allow it, well, as long as you stipulate it's authentic.
Okay, now you may display it.
Thank you. Could we play beginning, what's the runtime, Mr. Wolk? 5:37:03. This is at 5:37:03. If we just play this forward for a couple of seconds. A little bit further. Pause. Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Just about biffed it.
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the sallyport, correct?
Yes.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, This is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD and driven into the sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left, Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, previously I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay.
We can zoom in.
Highlight that just a little bit. Can you see what that says?
Interior sallyport back wall.
I believe it says interior sallyport back wall.
Okay.
537, maybe.
Okay. When you indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used, but in something along those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
Can we play this forward?
Yes.
So now
You
Proctor
see
goes
where
right to the
Mr.
back
Proctor, let's go
corner.
ahead and pause it. You see where Mr. Proctor went.
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
Great. Let's play this forward for a second. Pause. Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head?
Yes.
As the tow truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle, can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so it could possibly be used to describe that what took place.
Can you recognize that person?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature?
I can't tell.
As compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car. What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
I never said that.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller? Generally. How about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay. Can you tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And a little bit further. Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay. Do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but that he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio.
That.
Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
It's like, could be a portfolio, could be tail light.
Okay.
Can't tell.
And did it appear that somebody just appeared at the front right, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way, yes.
Okay. Let's take this down. I'd like to mark. I have another electronic device, a thumb drive, that has another video on it, Your Honor. I'd like to have that marked as next in order. Court permission.
All right, so there's no objection, Mr. Wright?
No objection. Thank you.
Okay.
Exhibit 119.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Now, Sergeant, what does this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but...
Can we increase the date and time? Do you see, can you read the date and timestamp on this Chiron?
I cannot know.
It's because it's backward, correct?
I can't read it. I can't make it out, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk? Does that appear to be backward?
Based on me recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again. Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second. Pause. Do you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him, yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the sallyport?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represents what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking to the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward? And do you see Mr. Proctor's head above the SUV?
Yes.
And watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's another person that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort, walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in that general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. A little bit further. Pause. Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yes.
So, in point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the sallyport, that was not quite true, correct?
Objection. I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is transpiring.
But you would agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct. Not just a mirror image. What was left is right, and what is right is left. Correct?
State is to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around, and position himself to the left rear taillight. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection.
Do you agree with that? I'll allow it.
It appeared that that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was already damaged.
But in the corrected video, which is this one, it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV. Correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected video, this video here, this unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is. Correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree that this video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on the time?
Not on this one. This is backwards.
Wow. I know that the SUV pulled into the garage, the sallyport, at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first taillight pieces were found. All right.
I'd have to see a timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Let me
that...
ask it a different way. 5:37, 5:35, is before 5:45.
Yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
I'd have to see the timestamp to see if 5:37 comes before 5:45, but I inverted myself right off the screen. Sorry about that. Found a piece of me here in the corner.
Sergeant, Canton PD is about a mile and a half from 34 Fairview, is that right?
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Maybe a 3 or 4 minute drive.
Depending on the traffic conditions and the weather conditions, that could be a possibility, depending on the speed you travel.
I'm sorry. Your Honor, I have a photograph that I'd like to have marked with the court's permission. If I may approach.
Marked for identification.
Marked for identification for the time being.
Okay.
May I approach?
Yes. Let's mark it first, please.
H.
Thank you.
Looks all black. What was that?
Let me take a look.
Thank you. Let me ask you a couple of other questions. We just looked at the videos of the interior of the sallyport. Harkening back to what we just looked at, the corrected video, there would also be a camera on the other side of that sallyport garage pointing down toward the right rear taillight area of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
There's a camera situated on the opposite side. We'd be looking at that camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay, taking a look at that photograph, I know the quality of it, but can you tell if that appears to be a still image from that camera?
Yes, it appears to be a still image from that video camera.
I'd ask that this be moved into evidence, Your Honor.
Is there an objection?
No objection. Thank you.
You authenticated it, so it's coming in.
120.
Thank you. If we could display this for the jurors, Your Honor, just the photograph.
Okay.
Do you see what's depicted? I know the photograph that you're holding is very poor quality. It's a little easier with this lighting. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I'm sorry, your laser was bouncing off on the ceiling. I
was trying to
apologize.
make it easier for you.
Yeah.
This photograph here.
That appears to be the seized SUV belonging to the defendant, with it being situated inside the sallyport.
And what is that vehicle there?
It's an antique police cruiser.
And who is this person?
I do not know who that is.
Does that look like Michael Proctor?
I don't know. I'd have to get a zoom in. I don't know.
Can I get a zoom in?
Could that be? Does he have glasses on?
I don't know.
Could it be Chief Berkowitz?
It could be Chief Berkowitz. I don't know.
Can you you tell me the date that's on the the date and timestamp at the bottom?
I cannot. I think I might be able to make it out in the actual photograph you printed out. Could I take a look at that?
Sure.
Need the light?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Interior sallyports. Something wall.
It appears the time is 11:08 and 59 seconds in the morning of possibly January 30th of 2022.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this back out full frame.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a point of reference? Does that appear to be the interior camera facing the other direction where the SUV was depicted in the sallyport earlier?
It's the opposite of what we had viewed earlier, diagonally across, I believe.
So this would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Now I'd like to ask you to take a look at a video. Now that we have that point of reference, you and I have a final video. I can have that marked as next in order, Your Honor.
As next in order, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
I have no objection to that being entered now.
Okay.
Exhibit 121.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we present this? Go ahead and play it. Pause. Can you make out, now that that's paused, can you make out what's depicted toward the top of the screen?
Yes, it appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty? Some snow on the ground?
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does look that way, yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be, yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document, or on this frame? I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual run time is on this.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07, 10 or 12, something like that?
That's the timestamp, yes.
Okay.
Yes, PM.
Now, if we could just play this forward, go back to full screen.
And there was an alien attack during that time, and it damaged the file footage. Sorry, guys, there's a huge snake on my back deck.
Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by in real time?
Approximately 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp. What time is that?
5:47 p.m.
So in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds, the time jumped from before the SUV was in the sallyport to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV had already arrived and is now situated in the sallyport, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier, of about 5:35, 5:36 or so, with you and, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video, was it?
It did not present itself, no.
The problem with that, if that was a motion-activated video, it should have been activated by the SUV being backed up. That's the problem. Or the SUV being pulled in. So there's a 3-foot snake on my back door, and my wife is going to be home in a few minutes. And it may surprise her, as she does not like snakes. So I've asked the kids to film it.
Good afternoon, sir.
Pouring rain, too.
Good afternoon.
You had just asked questions about some of the video footage from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you further questions about that. In your investigation, did you obtain camera footage from a number of different angles from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area?
I did.
And one of those series of footages, did that include the interior Sallyport back wall for January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Is that the video that appears inverted, and then we saw the second where it was present as you would see it?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at that video? Did you invert the video in any way?
No, I did not.
Did you investigate and learn whether or not there was any other video in addition to that interior Sallyport back wall where video was set up by the town of Canton that appears inverted rather than forward?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, the investigation revealed that multiple cameras had a lens applied to it that was inverted.
In addition to the Canton Police Department Sallyport interior back wall, where else did you learn around town there was video that appears inverted?
I believe it is inside the Canton PD, the hallways, possibly. And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton. And
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask the question. No. Is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't finished, but yes.
I wasn't. Okay, it was a very leading question to say what other areas around the town of Canton. Let's see. The hallways at the police station were inverted. Let's see if I can zoom in on Brian Higgins in the hallway to read the wall. Can't tell. I was trying to read the placards on the wall while they're doing a sidebar. This is zoomed in while he opens the door to come out of that office. I can't tell if it's inverted or not. So. I would say that I wouldn't say it's a lens that inverts everything. Probably a setting on the camera that allows it to be inverted. Most security cameras have options, or a lot of security cameras have options to be able to tell the DVR, the recorder, that this camera is actually mounted upside down or invert the picture. You can flip and manipulate the picture in the settings inside the DVR itself. The shirt isn't inverted. Hey, that's a great point.
Jurors, I'm going to strike the portion of the answer that follows hallways of the Canton PD.
And sir, when you obtained the video from the interior Sallyport back wall, which was inverted, did you provide a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
When you looked at that video, does it have time and date stamps on it?
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce a copy of that.
Sure.
Exhibit 122.
Okay.
When you provided the video for January 29, 2022, for that inverted video, did you do any further investigation to see if it was an anomaly that happened just on that date, or whether that was historically the way the video appeared?
I'll look into that matter, produced the fact that it's been recording that way previously to January 29th.
Why did you want to historically go back and see if it was historically the same way?
To show that it had not been manipulated or altered in any way, and it was accurately recording what was taking place on January 29th, 2022.
As part of the investigation, was the video taken from January 1st, 2022?
Yes.
And is that before January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to approach and move to introduce this. No objection.
Okay.
These dates become problematic for the prosecution because at some point they're going to tell us that these tapes automatically delete themselves. And so in doing their analysis, they
Do you know how many cameras are inside the sallyport?
I found older video.
I don't know exactly. I know that there's at the very least 2 inside the sallyport.
You were shown a still photograph, not from the inverted video, but from a different video or a different camera?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that photograph?
I do.
And you were asked about gaps in time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the health was of that camera around that time?
I do not know.
Did you obtain and look at video from that camera?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce. I had you look at this before. Introduce if you recognize what that is.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's a sallyport videos, the original disc, or thumb drive. I apologize, not disc.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just happens to be in the DVD envelope.
When you saw that dark photograph, you later saw a picture that was clearer, and you were asked questions about that. Do you know whether or not the video from that sallyport area was clarified?
It was.
What does clarified mean?
It means it was enhanced to look clearer.
And that image you saw, was that a
altered.
clarified photograph taken from the video that was not clarified?
It appears that way, yes.
Do you know who clarified the video?
I do not know.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
See if defense objects or allows it in.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the wrong one.
Getting you a zip drive, you know what is on that?
Yes.
He gave me the wrong one.
It's sallyport clarified video from the front wall.
Thank you. I've moved into this as an exhibit.
No objection, Mr. Jackson?
Yep.
No objection.
You had the wrong one. Defense caught it.
With the court's permission, could I play a portion of the clarified video for the jury?
Yes.
With Ms. Gilman's assistance, could you take us to the clarified video of the sallyport, and could you take us to about 5:35?
lot of apps open on this computer. Adobe, VLC, Word, PowerPoint, File Explorer. Yeah, it's surprising they get to show the clarified video without...
As Ms. Gilman searches, I have other questions I can proceed with.
Laying the foundation
turn
of
the light
the
on again, please. Go ahead, thank you.
clarification that was performed. There's not just an enhance button.
Did
There
you
is, but you can't
obtain
just use
video of outside the Sallyport to show what time the tow truck arrived with the defendant's Lexus?
Yes, I did.
Hum
Yeah,
along.
Brooke?
Thank you
Yes.
very much. This is a member milestone chat. Congratulations on 2 months. Thank you.
Can you and I do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a disc containing CPD exterior Sallyport video.
Move to introduce this, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 126.
Similarly, did you obtain video from the front driveway of the Canton Police Department depicting the arrival of the defendant's Lexus?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Hand you another item. Do you recognize this, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's Canton PD driveway video.
And is this a copy of the video you obtained?
Yes, it is.
I would move this into evidence.
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Exhibit 127.
Do you recall when you arrived with the defendant's Lexus on January 29, 2022, what time you reached the Sallyport?
To the best of my recollection, it was 5:35 p.m. is when the vehicle was placed into the Sallyport.
When you left Dighton after the tow truck lifted the defendant's Lexus and put it on the tow truck, did you follow the tow truck back to Canton?
Yes, I did.
Did the tow truck stop at any point between Dighton and Canton Police Department?
Other than red traffic lights, no.
When you were following, how were you following the tow truck?
I was keeping a safe distance, always keeping line of sight behind the vehicle. I was following it from Dighton residence all the way to Canton PD.
Was Michael Proctor with you in your truck?
Yes, he was.
Did you take any detours on your trip back to the Canton Police Department?
No, we followed the truck driver. He led the way.
At any point, did you take any turns to Fairview Road?
No.
Did you know whether or not there was a CERT team at Fairview Road searching while you were driving back to the Canton Police Department?
I knew one was dispatched, yes.
Did you go to Fairview Road to speak to any of the CERT team members?
No.
Did you watch the CERT team members conduct their search?
No, I did not.
In any way, did you, at any point during that search, see it happening?
No, I did not, no.
When the CERT team members were there, do you remember that they arrived at 4:54 and 4:56?
I don't have a specific memory, but I know that they arrived sometime between that hour.
When you arrived at the Sallyport, at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus, what was your understanding of where the CERT team was?
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived around 5:37 at the Canton Police Department, were any members of the CERT team at the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Lay a foundation.
Now, I asked you, do you remember about what time you got back to the Canton Police Department? Do you know specifically what time you got back?
I know we pulled in to the driveway at 5:30 p.m.
And did you see some of the timestamps that you were shown on cross-examination?
Yes.
Did you see the timestamp 5:37:18 when it was shown to you by the defense?
Yes.
At that time, when you were arriving and bringing the defendant's Lexus into the Sallyport, was there any CERT team members at the Canton Police Department?
No.
Were there any troopers who were speaking to you or receiving items or evidence from you or Trooper Proctor?
Absolutely not.
Was there any items exchanged between you or Trooper Proctor and anybody else, for that matter, that you saw?
No.
While you were at the Canton Police Department in the Sallyport area, do you remember how long you stayed in that area?
Approximately 15, 20 minutes.
And so you were asked when the first items were found at Fairview Road. Do you remember that it was around 5:45?
Yes.
So at the time those items were first found at Fairview Road, where were you and Michael Proctor?
At Canton Police Department.
When you were at the Canton Police Department and you had brought the Lexus back, did you ever see Michael Proctor leave the Canton Police Department without you?
No.
You ever see him hop in a car and take a drive?
No.
A 3-minute drive or a 4-minute drive?
No.
Did you ever see him leave for a 6-minute, 7-minute trip?
Objection, Your Honor.
You've made your point. Next question.
When you were at the Canton Police Department, were you separate or with Michael Proctor?
We were together. Not obviously tied at the hip, but we were within eyesight, traveling together.
After you left the Sallyport area, did you and Michael Proctor immediately leave the Canton Police Department?
No, we stuck around.
Why did you stick around at the Canton Police Department?
Free donuts.
To make sure that evidence was properly being protected with yellow tape around it. And we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making plans, did you go anywhere else in the police department after you left the Sallyport area?
Yes, I believe we went to the conference room.
Was there anybody else that you saw in the police department when you went to the conference room with Mr. Proctor?
I remember talking to Chief Berkowitz in the police department. We were in the dispatch area at one point in time as well. So there was multiple people that observed us there.
At any point, did you give any items to Chief Berkowitz?
No.
At any point, did you ever see Michael Proctor hand or give an item to Chief Berkowitz?
Absolutely not.
You said Michael Proctor had a folder with him.
Yes.
Is that typical in an investigation?
Yes.
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
No, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him retrieve an item or taillight pieces and give it or sneak it over to Chief Berkowitz?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you ever see Michael Proctor ever hand any piece of taillight to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that matter?
No.
The entire time you were there, did either you or Michael Proctor, from what you saw, provide any items, physical items, to anybody else that was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow that.
Wow.
No, we did not.
Okay.
She allowed a lot of things. There was a little bit of leading in there. By little, I mean a lot. But they got to hear the answers that basically they were tied at the hip, or not really, but they were within line of eyesight of each other the whole time. And that nothing nefarious happened. While they're at sidebar, I just want to see if I can get... Come on. Trying to figure out what Brian Higgins was doing right here. We'll just jump for a quick second while they're discussing this at sidebar. Brian Higgins over by his driver's side of his Jeep. Close the Jeep door, comes over to this vehicle, not the one he drove, opens the side hatch on like this truck cab. Okay. So he opens that up, grabs something big out. It's like a duffel bag. Slings it over his shoulder, closes the door, locks it, carries that big item over to the back of his car. First to his car and then to the back. Here we go. Puts it in his car. What was that?
May I?
Yes.
At any point from when you first arrived at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus to the point when you left to go to dinner or to get something to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever provide any physical item to anybody at the Canton Police Department?
No, other than dropping off the vehicle itself, we did not exchange anything.
Oh, don't say we, I'm just asking for you. Now I'm going to ask you, at any point when you got to the Canton Police Department until you left to go to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever see him hand any physical item to any other person whatsoever?
No, I did not.
And after, do you know about what time you and Michael Proctor left the Canton Police Department?
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe well after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how many of the items had been found by the CERT team at 34 Fairview Road at the time you left the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
When you left with Michael Proctor, where did you go?
I went to Norwood, Massachusetts.
Is that where you ate?
Yes.
When you left and then arrived in Norwood, did you stop along the way at any other place, including but not limited to 34 Fairview Road?
I did not.
Did you eat?
Yes.
After you ate, where did you go?
Back to Canton Police Department.
Why?
We were having a debrief for that day on the investigation so that everybody could get a good understanding of what had been learned, what had been collected, and where the investigation stood, and to assign tasks on the next steps.
Who were you meeting at the Canton Police Department when you returned?
It was the Detective Lieutenant Tully, members of the Norfolk SPDU.
Do you know at about time you returned to the Canton Police Department?
I want to say it was after 7:30, but I'm not positive.
When you left the place that you and Mr. Proctor ate at and returned to the Canton Police Department, did you take a swing by Fairview Road?
No.
Did you stop anywhere from the point you left where you ate and came back to the Canton Police Department?
No, sir.
When you came back to the Canton Police Department, did you get debriefed?
Yes.
Did you learn whether or not the CERT team had found any physical items at Fairview Road?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Yes, I did.
Did they give you any details about what they had found at Fairview Road during the CERT team search?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I learned that.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow this.
I learned that
this is hearsay.
The second sneaker was located. Also, a large piece of red taillight was also located.
After you were debriefed, did you leave the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Who did you leave with, if anybody?
It was myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Keefe, I believe.
When you left the Canton Police Department, do you know what time that was?
I do not, but I would have to estimate to be around 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15.
Did you leave alone?
I was in my truck, yes.
Did you see
Mr.
where...
Brennan, what I'm going to do is just interrupt you for a minute. Folks, a couple of minutes ago when Sergeant Buchanan testified as to what he learned at the debriefing, that's not offered to you for the truth of what he said was learned, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Buchanan and the police knowledge was at the time, that it was told to him. Go ahead, Mr. Brennan.
That's how she fixes the hearsay issue.
When you drove away, were you alone?
Yes.
Okay. When the Lexus was brought to the sallyport, did you have a chance to again look at that right rear taillight?
Yes.
And did you make observations of it?
Yes.
Which one's the right rear taillight? Which photo's the right rear taillight?
Okay, this might answer our question about what pieces were found when. Remember that picture I showed where somebody was saying that all the big pieces were found later by Proctor? If the big piece was found now, that would be good for the prosecution. If it was found later, it would be bad for the prosecution.
While you were at the Canton Police Department and in the Sallyport area, did you ever see anybody take a piece or in any way remove part of that broken taillight from the Lexus?
No, I did not.
If you had, what would have you done?
Objection.
Sustained.
Speculation. He's not an expert witness.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. So, Mr. Jackson?
Could I have Exhibit 13 displayed, please?
Okay.
Could you zoom in a little, please, Ms. Gilman? Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the defendant's Lexus SUV.
When the Lexus was brought into the Sallyport, was there still snow on it?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow on it that covered parts of the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow in that area
Currently, no.
when you first brought it into the Sallyport?
I'm sorry, in the area of the vehicle?
No, the area of that taillight.
Yes, there was, yes.
How close did you get to take a look at that?
I was within a foot of it.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, it is.
From what you saw, was the damage you saw when you looked at the car for the first time in the Sallyport area any different than the damage that appears on this Exhibit 13?
It is not.
As part of your investigation, did you look for, you can take that down please, and lights on, thank you. Did you look for other evidence that the taillight was broken before it came into the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to view the ring video from Meadows Road at 5:07 in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And when you looked at that, did you have an opportunity to look at the defendant's Lexus backing up and then leaving that driveway?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to see if there was any evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see that stood out to you about the taillight?
The taillight is shining white and not covered by a red taillight cover, which would have produced a red light.
Did you further look at any video from the Canton Police Department dash cams to get a view
That's a problem.
of that taillight and determine whether it was broken before it was even brought to the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact look at video or still photographs from the Canton Police Department dash cam?
Yes, I did.
Could I have Exhibit 11 displayed, please? And during your investigation, when you were making this analysis, did you view this photo?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any particular reference or anything that caught your attention in this video?
Yes, the right rear taillight of the Lexus SUV is missing the red lens cover, and it is damaged.
You mentioned the observations. You can take that down, please. You mentioned your observations when you got to Dighton about what you saw relative to the taillight. And then at some point, video was provided of the tow?
Yes.
Did you study that video as well?
Yes, I did.
And did you see anything in particular when you were making these determinations that stood out about the video of the Lexus being put onto that tow truck relative to the taillight?
Yes, the video indicated that there was white light coming through, exposing the missing red right rear taillight cover.
You told us on direct examination you've watched a number of videos and interviews of the defendant.
Yes.
Without getting into the content, did you watch any videos where the defendant talks about the broken taillight prior to the sallyport?
Objection, Your Honor. Not formal, sustained.
Did you listen to any interviews of the defendant relative to the taillight?
Yes.
Now, I want to go back and I want you to take us through your investigation, and I want to be specific about what you learned and when and what you did with that information relative to the decisions and the direction of your investigation. When you were called on the morning of January 29, 2022, when you first got a call, where were you?
I was at home in bed.
You mentioned that after you received the call, you called another trooper at that time.
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Michael Proctor.
After you spoke to Michael Proctor, did you have any first-hand knowledge about what had happened prior?
No, I did not.
Did you have any first-hand knowledge about what had happened the night before?
I did not, no.
Did you have any first-hand knowledge about the participants or the people that may or may not have been involved?
I did not, no.
Did you at that point know, or were you friendly with Brian Albert?
I knew who he was. I was not friendly with him. I did not know who he was.
Had you ever socialized with him?
No.
Nicole Albert?
No.
Were you friendly or ever socialized with her?
No, I've never.
Jennifer McCabe? Did you know who she was or socialize with her?
No, I did not.
Her husband, Matthew McCabe, did you know him or socialize with him?
No.
How about Julie Nagel? Did you know who she was or had you socialized with her?
No, I did not.
Ryan Nagel, is that name, was that familiar to you?
No, it's not.
Sarah Levinson, did you know that person?
I did not.
You mentioned that you knew who Brian Higgins was.
Yes.
And you had worked on a case or some involvement in a case with him?
Yes.
Did you owe him any particular favor or kindness at that time?
Objection, Your Honor. I'll sustain it.
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
Objection, Your Honor. I'll allow that.
I did not, no.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts State Police officer?
In 2022, I was approximately 10 years in.
And you had been honorably discharged from the military?
Yes, I was.
Served the president?
Yes.
And so, at this point, how about Heather Maxson? Did you know that name?
I did not know.
When you first received the call, did you have any first-hand knowledge whatsoever?
No, just what I was told over the phone.
You mentioned you went to the Canton Police Department first and spoke to Canton police officers.
Yes.
Was it at that point you learned about a physical item that was found at the scene?
Objection. Sustained.
What did you learn from them that was important in your investigation when you first got to the Canton Police Department?
I learned that there was a broken, shattered cocktail glass that was recovered from near where Mr. O'Keefe was found, and also his phone was underneath him at the scene.
And were both those items available to you?
Yes.
Did you also learn any statements made from any witnesses that were attributed to the defendant at that time?
Yes.
And what was the statements?
At that point in time, while at the Canton Police Department, the statements were, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?"
In a question format, questioning.
Yes.
And based on that information, was it somewhere around that point when you called the hospital or medical examiner's office?
Yes, I made a call to the medical examiner's office.
Is that all the information you learned that morning?
No, it's not.
After you learned that information, did you ask the police officers, well, let me ask it this way. After you learned that information, did you want to go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to interview the individuals that were with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was located and get their accurate and most first-person information from them directly.
And it froze. Let's see if we can get this fixed.
Differently witnesses.
At this point in time, prior to speaking to them, I just knew that they were eyewitnesses for the location of Mr. O'Keefe, but I did not know if they were eyewitnesses or witnesses.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke with Ms. Jennifer McCabe, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Brian Albert.
When you spoke to them, did you separate them or speak to them as a group?
I separated them.
You went to whose house to speak to them?
The McCabe household.
Is it typical to go to a person's house rather than bring them to the station under these circumstances?
Ask it differently, Mr.
Why did you go to their house rather than ask them to come to the police station?
Well, there were multiple factors involved in that decision. One, the driving conditions. Two, these are witnesses that had suffered some sort of traumatic event, finding their friend on the front lawn of their own town. So going to their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable scene for them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did you receive any information from any of them that Mr. O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview at any time that night?
No.
When you were asked questions about scene versus crime scene, was 34 Fairview, the home, the inside of the home, a crime scene in your mind?
No.
Was the area where Mr. O'Keefe found an important or unimportant area?
It's very important.
Did you know whether or not any of the Canton Police Department officers at that time had done any type of limited search of the area?
Objection. Just whether you knew.
At that point in time, we did know, yes.
What did you learn about the scope or the breadth of that search by the Canton Police Department?
Objection. I'll allow that.
I knew that it was brief based on the weather conditions and the item that was recovered.
Okay. After you spoke to Jennifer McCabe, and did you say Brian Albert?
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
Okay. At that point, did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn whether or not Canton police officers spoke to those particular people who lived there before you got there?
I had learned, yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that Canton police officers went inside the home, spoke with members inside the home as well.
When you speak to witnesses, you've done many interviews over your career?
Yes, I have. Yes.
In addition to asking questions, what are you looking for when you speak to a witness?
We're looking for body language, how willing they are to provide the information, and as with everyone, we always trust by verify. We corroborate their statements.
Did you see anything about these witnesses when you spoke to them that cued you or concerned you to do a further investigation?
Objection. Ask it differently.
Was there anything about their mannerism or demeanor that stood out to you?
Objection. I'll allow it.
No.
After speaking to the witnesses, in your mind as an investigator, what did you need to do next?
I needed to take a look at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries for myself.
And you shared with us detail about when you went down to Good Samaritan Hospital and make observations.
Yes, sir.
On direct examination, I pointed out you're not a medical examiner, are you?
I am not, no.
Not a biomechanical engineer?
I am not, no.
In your experience, when you looked at Mr. O'Keefe and had a chance to study his body, what impression did that leave you with relative to your investigation?
Objection. I'll allow that.
At that point in time, after viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, my impression shifted from him possibly being struck with the glass that was located at the scene where he was found to him being struck by a vehicle.
Why?
Due to the abrasions and cuts on his right arm, and the amount of force, in my experience, the amount of force one would have to generate to produce the wound to his head.
I'm going to strike that last part.
He's not a doctor, so
After
he can't
coming
testify
to the
that.
conclusion, or strike that, after making your observations and your determination, did your focus shift at that point?
Yes, it did.
Where did you want to go next?
I wanted to observe the vehicle that the defendant was driving.
What were you going to be looking for?
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
You mentioned the windshield and the headlights. Those are in the front of the car. Did you have an impression at that point?
Yes. Majority of the cases that I had exposure to with pedestrian vehicle strikes, the strike comes from the front of the vehicle. So in my assumption, speculation at that point in time, based on the limited information I had, that was my theory.
When you got to Dighton, did that theory change?
Prior to our arrival to Dighton, the theory had changed.
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Objection. Sustained.
What was that based on?
It was based on information I received from Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
And what was that information?
That the defendant told her that she had damaged her taillight and showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
When you got to Dighton and had a chance to look at the defendant's Lexus, did your focus of your investigation develop in any way?
Yes, seeing for myself that there was actual damage, coupled with the statements made, did I hit him, could I have hit him, along with the my observation, obviously, of the vehicle, my focus began to concentrate on the defendant.
You share with us that you went inside and spoke to the defendant?
Yes.
Why did you speak to her at her home rather than ask her or force her to come to the police station?
Same reasons we interviewed the witnesses. The driving conditions, the time that it would take for her to respond, the comfort of her own home or her parents' home, where she had just experienced a very traumatic event, being concerned for her well-being. We interviewed her in the comfort of her parents' couch.
When you interviewed her in her parents' home, where was she seated?
On the couch of her parents' living room.
Where was her mother?
She was in the home. I don't have a specific memory of her being in the room with us, but her father was in the room with us.
Did you ever try to separate the defendant from her father when you interviewed her?
Objection. We can approach.
This is good for the prosecution. Mr. Brennan's doing a good job. It's basically, since he's took over on redirect, he's done a good job trying to clarify areas of doubt that the defense has presented to solidify that there were Mr. Brennan and Mr. Proctor were together almost the entire time, that he had no opportunity to transport or place or give pieces of the taillight to someone else to transport to place the pieces to the scene, that they were found before Trooper Proctor and Brennan arrived at the scene. This is good stuff for the prosecution. And I'm not sure if clarifying the video was really good, because we could care less if the video is recorded backwards. The fact that you presented it as if it was forwards and never told the jury the first time anything about it being backwards was the problem. Not so much that it records backwards. Fish Farm and Family. I'm not. I know I can't show all those pictures. They're pretty intense. But I did get your pictures. I'd probably like to talk to you about it. I might be able to show a couple of them. Maybe on the next. If we get an afternoon break here in just a minute, we might get a break right now. Let's see if that happens. The sidebar play out here. Oh yeah, the leading has gotten to epic proportions. Literally feeding him the exact line word for word, and then asking the question after the objection is rightfully sustained, and having that exact line fed back to him word for word. That's what leading is, and Mr. Brennan knows it. The question is the system broken? Would it be better if the punishment for a leading question was you had to move on from that topic? That your next question couldn't be, oh, let me rephrase it and see if I can get it in?
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Right ahead.
Thank you. Trooper, to get back to my question, when you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not, no.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection. Her father did not pose a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge at the time, when Mr. O'Keefe was injured. So him leaving the room just didn't appear necessary. Again, my concern was for her well-being, having known that she was sectioned, and we wanted to make sure it was a safe and comfortable environment for her to do the best she could to tell us what she remembered.
What was her demeanor when you spoke to her?
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was, I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
When you finished your conversation with the defendant, had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the tow truck back to Canton, did you have any information whatsoever that there was any animus or animosity between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe?
No.
After speaking to witnesses and the defendant at that point when you got back into your truck to go to Canton, did you have any information that there was any animosity between Brian Albert and John O'Keefe?
No.
We've already talked about, out of order, your return back to Canton, the sallyport, and then you and Mr. Proctor going out to dinner and going back, so I'm going to skip all of that. After you went home that night, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
How long do investigations continue for?
Until they are completed and exhausted, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
If you were to receive new information tomorrow, would you consider it?
Absolutely.
Sustained.
When you write police reports, is there a time limit on when you can file a report?
No.
Throughout this case, did you write a number of reports over time?
Yes.
Did you engage in tasks after the case began?
Yes.
Have you engaged in tasks recently?
Yes.
As you were investigating this case, did you speak to a number of witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Did you consider reports that were provided by other troopers who interviewed witnesses?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor was the case manager of this case?
Yes.
You were his supervisor?
Yes.
Were there other troopers who participated in this case?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not Lieutenant O'Hara participated in this case?
I do know.
You do know?
I do know
Did
that he
he?
participated, yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a team with him of other troopers?
Yes.
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
I do know, yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco? Guarino. I saw it.
Yes, I am.
What did he call him?
And do you know if he engaged in any tasks in this case?
I do know, yes.
What did he engage in generally?
He generally conducted the digital forensics portion of the investigation, extractions.
Trooper Keefe, is that a name familiar?
Yes, it is.
And do you know whether or not he was involved?
Yes, I do know.
Were there a number of other troopers who were involved in different aspects of this case?
Yes, there are a number of different ones.
Trooper Evan Brent?
Yes.
Did you look or seek other information after you left the defendant's house?
Yes.
Did you look for other witness statements?
Yes.
Did you try to obtain further evidence?
Yes, we did.
Was there an interview with firefighter Timothy Nuttall on February 8th?
Yes, there was.
And that was about 10 days after the incident?
Approximately, yes.
Did you learn any statements from him in addition to the earlier statements you learned that added to your investigation?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it.
And do you remember what Timothy Nuttall told you on February 8th, 2022 about any statements of the defendant?
Objection.
So, folks, again, this is being offered not for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided to the police.
Seriously?
Yes, Mr. Nuttall was one of 3, I believe.
So, talk about Mr. Nuttall, please.
Mr. Nuttall told me that the defendant stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Was that information different than the statements that you were first learned about that she had allegedly made earlier that night?
Yes, it was.
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022?
I did.
When you spoke to him, do you remember whether he shared any statements about the defendant telling him anything about her interaction with Mr. O'Keefe at the end of that night?
I believe that he stated that they got into a fight.
Do you remember the words that he used when he described that fight?
I do not remember the exact words. Those will be reflected in my police report.
Would the police report potentially refresh your recollection?
Potentially.
May I approach?
Yes.
Well, he's refreshing his recollection. This is the first time I did not know Mr. Yuri could smile, Mr. Buchanan, but he can. Look, he's all smiles here.
Hand you a document. I do not want you to read from it.
Okay.
I want you to look at it, determine whether it refreshes your memory, and then I'll ask you if it refreshes your memory. If it does, I'll ask you about it. If it doesn't, then I won't.
Okay, sir.
That was when Mr. Brennan got the name completely wrong. We'll play it back in a minute.
After reviewing your report, does it refresh your memory about your conversation with Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022 about statements made by the defendant to him?
Yes.
And could you share with us what the statements were as related by Mr. Whitley back on February 8, 2022?
The statement was...
Objection, Your Honor.
Again, jurors, this is an offer for the truth that's contained in the statement, simply to show that this information is provided to the police.
The defendant made a statement questioning whether Mr. O'Keefe was still alive.
And anything about the nature of their disagreement?
Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant got into an argument.
Objection.
So for the same purpose.
As you're learning this information, does it in any way shape your continued investigation?
Yes, it further supports witness statements. It further supports and corroborates information that we're learning. The more information we collect, the stronger the case becomes.
Did you interview a person by the name of Anthony Flamate?
Yes, I did.
And when you spoke to him, do you recall whether he shared any statements that the defendant made to him?
Objection.
Yes.
And do you recall what those statements were?
I do have a general recollection of what they were, but...
I don't want you to guess. Would your report potentially help your memory?
Yes, it would.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Same protocol that I mentioned before. Take a look, see if it refreshes your memory. If it does not, let me know. If it does, I'll then ask you some questions about it. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
After looking at your report, does that refresh your memory at all?
Yes, it does.
And when you were learning information to shape your investigation, did you consider anything that Anthony Flamati told you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did he tell you that the defendant told him that helped shape your investigation?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute here on this one.
So this is secondhand hearsay. Of course, anything the defendant says, pretty much the prosecution can get in because that's her own statements. But what did someone else tell you that that person said? Prosecution is getting a lot of stuff in here. They're doing well. Their prosecution's doing well today. I think it was somebody talked to Yuri. Somebody talked to him and said, "Look, you're not coming off really well. You're fighting everything, and it makes it look like you're hiding something." Today has been better. Lallyson says, you inspired me to put Old Bay on my popcorn. It's delicious. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I opened the new container of crackers, but my wife put them back up on the top shelf, which I think means I'm not supposed to eat them right now. I don't think the FBI is watching this trial. It's my understanding the federal investigation is complete and it's over. Do you like crab fries? I don't think I've ever had them. We should do a live stream to ask Ivan any and all random questions. Speaking of that, I've got a friend of mine who's a local police officer is going through some pretty serious cancer treatment, and he has a project in his yard that he wanted some help doing, and it's on Thursday night. I'm going to have to move probably till Friday night. I'm not sure if I can do Wednesday. I'm going to have to make salsa either Wednesday or Friday because I've got to go help with that project.
In addition to trying to get or obtain information about statements of the defendant, was there physical evidence that was important?
Yes.
Was there any data evidence that any of the team from the Massachusetts State Police, were you aware of them pursuing any data type evidence?
Yes, there was.
Was there some phones involved?
Yes, there were.
What phones did you understand or pursue that you thought might be helpful for your investigation?
For one, Mr. O'Keefe's phone was a device that we were looking into. We also had seized the defendant's phone and were attempting to access that device. There was other digital information that we were seeking as well.
Was the potential data from the defendant's Lexus important to the team of investigators?
Extremely important.
And did any of your team or the team pursue that black box, so-called black box data?
Yes, we did.
You were asked whether you interviewed or present for interviews of Nicole and Brian Albert?
Yes.
And after you spoke to them, including and considering all of the prior information you had, was there any evidence that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road on January 29, 2024?
There was not.
Relative to the information that could be stored in the computer systems on a Lexus, do you know which troopers, or do you know if Trooper Garino was involved in any process regarding that?
Yes, I do know, and yes, he was involved in conducting that portion of the investigation.
As part of the investigation, was it important or was it considered to look at John O'Keefe's phone to see if there was any specific or particular information on it that would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
What were you looking for? What was the team looking for on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Well, the all-encompassing data includes location of the device. It includes communication the party's identity with whom an individual could possibly be communicating. In this case, Mr. O'Keefe, his text messages, phone calls, emails, other applications like Signal and WhatsApp could have been also in use.
How about voicemails?
Voicemails, yes.
Did you ever review or consider any of those things that you just mentioned in your investigation?
Yes, I did.
This is new.
Speaking of interviewing witnesses, did you, along with Michael Proctor, interview Katie McLaughlin on January 30th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Was this the very next day?
Yes, it is.
And as part of your investigation and the direction and scope of your investigation, did you consider the interview with her and what she might have told you?
Yes, it was.
And when you were speaking with her the very next day, is there any statements that she attributed to the defendant that you considered in the next days of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Do you remember what she told you the defendant said that was part of your consideration for your future investigation?
Yes, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Remember that the statement is not being offered for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided.
Did the statement that Katie McLaughlin attributed to the defendant that very next day, January 30th, 2022, did that shape your investigation at all?
It helps attribute to the investigation. Again, all the evidence, all the statements, all the digital, all the circumstantial, all of that information is coupled and then put together, capped off by the defendant's statements herself to form the case.
There were questions about a plow driver by the name of Brian Loughran. When did you first hear or learn of that name?
It was quite some time after the case had made its way through the court system.
When you learned of his name, did you attempt to speak to him?
Yes.
And before you spoke to him, were there any issues you identified relative to Mr. Loughran before you actually spoke to him?
In regards to him, no. I didn't know him. I've never met him.
Did you, in fact, speak to him and interview him?
Yes, I did.
Was that interview, did anybody attend that interview with you?
Yes.
It was asked whether or not there was a car that was seen. And that was what type of car?
Ford Edge.
Was he specifically asked whether or not that was a Ford Edge owned by the Albert family?
In our interview?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically, but it is along the line of questions that would have been in my report and transcription of the audio recording.
In one last interview, did you speak to Brian Albert Jr.? Or did you consider a report of his interview?
I saw a report and considered.
Did you attend that interview?
I did not know.
What did you understand his relevance to be in your investigation?
He was at the home, at his parents' home, when some of his relatives and parents, friends came back to 34 Fairview.
And after you considered that interview, did it change your perspective or knowledge about whether anybody had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
No, it did not, no.
When I asked you questions earlier on in the case, days ago now, we went through a number of pieces of evidence that was found at different times at 34 Fairview Road. Do you remember those questions and going through that process?
I do remember, yes.
When we went through that process, were there any items that I did not ask you about?
Yes, there were.
And the items I did not ask you about, were they retrieved or found on different dates?
Yes, they did. They were, yes.
And the items that I did not ask you about on those different dates, do you remember how many different dates other items were found?
I want to say 3 different dates.
And on those other items I didn't ask you about, who recovered those items of evidence from 34 Fairview Road?
Michael Proctor.
Were you with Michael Proctor on any of those 3 dates when he turned in or reported the recovery of other evidence at 34 Fairview Road?
I was not, no.
And do you understand whether anybody was with him on those 3 dates?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
My understanding that nobody else was with him.
And I did not ask you about any of those pieces of evidence?
No, you did not, no.
On cross-examination, you were asked about those 3 pieces of evidence?
Yes, I was.
Were you shown what are now exhibits containing pictures and a photograph of the bags in which those items were bagged?
Yes, I was.
Do you have those physical pieces of evidence?
I do.
Now I'd like to ask you about those 3 pieces of evidence. Was there evidence produced from February 8, 2022?
There was.
Who produced that evidence?
It was Michael Proctor who recovered it.
Okay. And you were not there that date when he recovered the items?
I was not, no.
I'd ask you to retrieve 7-13, the items that were found on February 8, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you have gloves?
I do.
Okay.
This might be a tiny bit uncomfortable. Feel a little bit of pressure.
Seven dash 13.
All right, move to introduce this into evidence.
No objection.
Exhibit 128.
Can you describe what is in that bag? And if necessary, you should open it and show it to the jury.
The description is 1 large piece of plastic, red in color, 1 small piece of red plastic, and 1 piece of black plastic. I will open it to further show.
Watch your fingers, watch your fingers. It's doing okay. Let's open the side and realizes that in fact it won't open it. Cut across the middle. Pinky extended, good form, good form.
This one's labeled 22-02-184-7-13 as the bag, and this is letter number or a letter labeled A as an alpha.
Could you again tell us the date that was recovered?
This was recovered on February 8th, 2022. This appears to be a black piece of plastic Same identifying numbers, but this one is labeled with the letter B as in Bravo.
Ooh, that one's tiny. What's that one labeled?
This small piece of red plastic is not labeled.
Thank you. You mentioned this was on February 8, 2022. Earlier in... Are you done with that package?
Yes.
Earlier in your testimony, you had shared that you went back to 34 Fairview on February 10, 2022.
Yes, I did.
And on that date, you recovered pieces of taillight.
Yes, I did.
At that point, on February 10, 2 days after that February 8th production, was there still any snow on the ground at 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was still snow on the ground. Obviously not in the amount that was there the first day.
The second production from Mr. Proctor, do you know what date that was?
Don't hold me to it. I want to say the 11th of February.
And did you bring 7-14 and 7-15 with you?
Yes, I did.
Could you produce those, please? Let's take one at a time, please.
714 and 715.
Let's start with 714. I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection.
Thank you.
Regarding 714, can you show us what Mr. Proctor found on February 11, 2022?
Yes, sir. There appears to be a variety of wax, like stamp bags, as well as plastic containers. And this is consistent with having glass in it, as it was earlier.
Does the packaging, it seems different than the other bags. Is there any reason you know of that the packaging is different?
It appears that these are small fragments of glass, so for safety reasons, it appears that they were placed into a hard containers to prevent injury or maybe possibly losing it.
Could you just hold up a few examples for the jury to see?
Yes. This one here is labeled 714 and then A. This here is B.
Can't see anything.
This here is C. And then there's fragments in here.
You don't need to take them out. Just describe them generally.
Small pieces of what appears to be glass inside the wax paper.
Okay. If you can rebag all that, we'll move to the next item.
Yes, sir.
So is he meaning this is all parts of the cocktail glass? Or is this glass like clear plastic?
$7.15.
Please, I'd move 715 into evidence.
Mr. Jackson?
No objection.
Were 714 and 715 the two separate bags both found on February 11, 2022?
I can confirm that as soon as I look back at the bag.
Exhibit 130.
Yes, February 11th.
If you could open that and show the jury.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's a big piece.
This item is labeled with the same limbs number, 715, and the letter A. This is two pieces of clear plastic that are taped together. The longer one here on the left is labeled H, and the one on the right is labeled F, if my eyes are not failing me. This is a canister labeled debris collection with the same
Shake it.
numerical identifiers.
When would you use a canister as opposed to just putting it in a bag or a plastic bag? Is there a reason it's in a canister?
I do not know the reason behind it. I would strictly be speculating.
Thank you.
This small red piece of plastic is labeled E, as in echo. There are more small pieces of that, similar to that size that I just showed, but...
Very well. If you can rebag that. You mentioned there was 3 different days where Mr. Proctor found pieces of taillight at 34 Fairview. I'd like to go to that last day.
That would be the 18th, I believe, of February.
And do you have a bag?
I do.
Could you produce it, please? It's 7-16.
Yes, it is.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
So Proctor getting fired leaves Buchanan holding the bag. This would have been Proctor up here if he wasn't fired.
Thank you.
Use the scissors in an interesting manner. Keeps his pointer finger out.
If you could open it, please, for the jury.
Oh, he's got it
Yes, sir.
this time. Last time he had the pointer finger out alongside the blade of the scissors. Just rip it. It's all right. It's like Christmas. We're not going to reuse the wrapping paper. It's a big piece.
This one's labeled B. Here we have 3 red taillight pieces taped together. Appears to be mechanically fitting, labeled A, C, and D.
Do you typically label items?
No.
Do you know where those labels and the taping come from?
I believe that's from the crime lab. They identify each item according to their protocols to help them facilitate their portion of the investigation.
What do you mean, Diana?
Small clear piece of plastic labeled E as in echo. Small piece of clear plastic labeled G as in golf.
So I think
and another tin canister labeled piece of plastic.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Come back. These were all Proctor. I believe he was on presidential detail at one time.
You earlier mentioned that the tow truck brought the defendant's Lexus to the Canton Sallyport. Do you know if there's a video depicting that arrival?
Yes, there is.
With the court's permission, I would like to play a portion of Exhibit 127.
Okay.
See if I can get a good focus here. I'll turn off the picture if I'm in the way. There's a plow. Maybe that was the truck. And say following distance. Here comes Mr. Buchanan and his truck behind it. Another trooper.
Have you seen that video before?
Yes, I have.
What does it depict?
It depicts a tow truck from Diamond Towing arriving at Canton Police Department, followed by my personal pickup truck that we're following the vehicle in.
That video, that's before the video of being in the Sallyport?
Yes, it is.
When you were considering the physical pieces of evidence as part of your investigation, were you considering the weather conditions that night?
Yes.
When you were evaluating pieces of physical evidence that were found at 34 Fairview, were you making any assessment about their location or depth or closeness to the ground when you were evaluating them?
Yes.
And why were you considering the closeness of items to the ground?
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If an item is shoved into the snow, it will be exposed as the snow melts prior to it reaching the ground level.
I'm going to ask you to, with the court's assistant, retrieve Exhibit 85. May I approach?
Yes.
You don't have it. I'm sorry.
It's just right across there.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. Sure. I'll bring it.
I'll show you the slow mode of the truck here just a second. How about right now?
You have some questions while we wait?
I can.
Here's the slow mode of the truck.
When you retrieve pieces of taillight on February 3rd, did you consider their location, not only where on the lawn they were, but about the depth of where they were found?
Yes, I did.
And based on the items that you found on February 3rd, how close to the ground were they?
They were on the ground, or in the instance with the hat, it was frozen almost in a solid piece to the grass blades, to the ground.
And was that significant to you, how the hat was found?
Yes, it was.
If I could have 99 feet. And could we now have 99D? Beneath the hat on the left side next to the ruler, what do you see?
Yellow grass and a leaf, I believe, a brown leaf.
Was that of importance to you?
Yes, it was.
I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
And if you could turn the lights on and take that down, please. Thank you, sir. I'm approaching with exhibit 85. Could you take the item out of your bag, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is the hat. These are the pants. These pants are
Can you look at
damaged.
the back of the pants, please?
Grass stains on the back pockets.
As part of your investigation and the significance of the evidence, did you consider any debris on the back of the pants as part of your analysis?
Yes, the grass stains on the left.
Objection.
The appearance of
He corrected himself.
the appearance of the staining that's taken place or had taken place on these jeans was significant in the fact that it appears to be green and grass stain.
What did that suggest to you as part of your evaluation of your investigation and the decisions that you made after?
It suggests that Mr. O'Keefe impacted the grass area with his left glute, transferring green staining onto his pants.
Are you or do you know from your investigation the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022?
Yes, based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
You could repackage that for us, please?
Yes, sir.
Your piece pass. I have just a few final questions for you, Trooper Buchanan.
Yes, sir.
you were asked questions about interviewing Brian Higgins.
Yes.
And you shared with us that he provided you a number of text messages between him and the defendant.
Yes.
You began to explain that you vet information during your investigation.
Yes, we do.
What did you tell him you were going to do with the messages he was giving you?
I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone, so that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official. I told him that the information he was providing better be true and accurate, or else he would suffer the consequences of the ulterior.
Did you in fact vet what he gave you?
Yes.
And before you vetted it, did he make any changes, additions, or subtractions from that information?
No, he did not.
And when you vetted that information, was there anything different from the alternative source, that being the defendant's phone, from his phone?
Not that I noticed, no.
You know, that exhibit or that document has been marked for identification. I'd like to introduce it as an exhibit. Identification number is that?
Better turn over all the text, or else you might lose vacation days. You don't want that to happen. We're out of smart water. We're to the tap water.
My apologies. I'll need to look. I don't know the number offhand.
I think the clerks might have it.
It's marked for identification.
No, it's actually marked. It was EE now.
Oh, it was introduced?
It was.
I didn't realize that this has been introduced as Exhibit 150. As part of your investigation, did you look to see if there was any animus or difficulty between Mr. Higgins and Mr. O'Keefe prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death?
Yes.
Did you look at text message records to see if there was any motive that was evidenced in those text messages for Mr. Higgins to want to murder Mr. O'Keefe?
I did look.
May I approach?
Yes.
You read all of
I
these.
handed you a document. Do you recognize that package of materials?
Yes, I read these in court.
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's the extraction printed out from Brian Higgins' phone, dated 2/3, meaning February 3rd, 2022, and it is a conversation between the defendant and Mr. Higgins.
Does it extend a number of different dates?
Yes, it does.
Did you look through those conversations or text messages to identify whether there was any animus or motive?
Yes, I did.
I'd move to introduce those documents as the next exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you find any?
Hold on.
Exhibit 132.
Thank you. Trooper Buchanan, did you find any evidence in the conversation?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Proceed.
Approaching 4 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. So,
Trooper Buchanan, when you studied the materials, the conversation, communications between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe, did you find any evidence shaping your investigation that there was a motive to harm, hurt, or murder Mr. O'Keefe by Mr. Higgins?
No, there was not.
I have no further questions at this time.
okay.
AJ?
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may.
Sure.
Let the forgetfulness ensue.
You were just asked about Brian Higgins in your interview with Brian Higgins. Where did that take place?
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
At his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
Sustained.
You can't cast doubt
No.
by the fact that somebody got a lawyer.
No need to know.
No need to, because it wasn't in custody, right?
Correct.
He was just a witness in a case that you're investigating.
That's correct.
But he asked that you interview him in his lawyer's presence, right?
Yes.
You were asked about any evidence of Brian Higgins having a motive to murder John O'Keefe just a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan, right?
Yes.
And you said, no, I didn't find a motive that Brian Higgins would want to murder John O'Keefe. Is that right?
That's right.
What about a motive to confront him? About a girl he was interested in. Did you see that?
I believe the text messages speak for themselves. Everybody heard me read them out loud.
Yep, the text messages do, but I'm asking you. You were just asked about your opinion, whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins to perhaps want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy?
If you're asking for my opinion is that he would need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It was your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins.
Okay, so, well, the text messages, like you said, speak for themselves. You'll agree that it showed that there was a mutual interest, right? It just wasn't one-sided.
At times there was flattering text messages from both sides.
I think you're hot.
But your client reached out to him first.
Right. I mean, somebody's got to reach out, right? Everybody's got to reach out to somebody. First, someone's got to do it first, right?
Well, it depends.
Doesn't mean that there's not mutual affection for one another. Is that right? Or at least perceived mutual affection.
I don't understand the question.
Did you see in those text messages, in your mind, a motive that might lead to jealousy on the part of Brian Higgins?
No, I think Brian Higgins was pretty clear in his request for explanation of what the defendant wanted out of this, and stated that he's friends with Mr. O'Keefe. So he wanted clarity from the defendant about what was going on.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't read it to be that he was jealous, as I sit here thinking back on the content.
What about after drinking Jameson and ginger all night long and sending a text that said, well?
Objection.
Might that change things?
I don't know what Mr. Higgins' state of mind was. Well, could mean many different things. They could have had a face-to-face interaction, a look. We'd be strictly speculating what was intended by that, or what was the intent of communication by that text message.
After weeks of communicating with Ms. Reed in a romantic manner, and then seeing her walk in the door with John O'Keefe and sending the text message, well, after having been intoxicated, you see that, detective, as an investigator, as a reasonable, objective investigator, as a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe?
There's a possibility there, but I didn't see it.
Did you explore that possibility when you got all these text messages?
We did not follow up on that aspect based on the totality of the entire investigation.
Did you pull the tape at the waterfall and review the tape as we did here in court?
That happened, yes.
Okay. Did you see on the tape a time just before Brian Higgins left the location where he was confronted by Chris Albert?
Objection.
Change the wording.
Sure. Did you see a circumstance, did you see a situation on that tape where Brian Higgins is standing and Chris Albert physically puts his hand on Brian Higgins' arm, on his left arm?
I don't have a specific memory of that.
You remember a circumstance on that tape where Brian Higgins pulled his arm away and looked past Chris Albert over toward the bar, which is where John O'Keefe was standing. See that?
I do remember you pointing that out, but we couldn't tell him who exactly he was looking at based on the video.
Did you see a circumstance in which Brian Higgins then put his hand on his forehead and began rubbing his forehead like this?
I don't have a memory of that.
Did you see a circumstance in which he then motioned over toward that side of the bar with his left hand?
That I remember, yes.
Did that seem realistic to you? Let me ask it a different way. Did that seem to you as a reasonable interpretation? Hey, come on outside. Or come here.
Very reasonable, since they've been invited to 34 Fairview.
Did it look, in your opinion, that was just a, hey, let's go together? Or did it look more to you like, hey, come outside? Or let's step outside?
The totality of the investigation, the fact that when they stepped outside there was no confrontation and they were invited to the address, again, totality of the investigation suggests otherwise.
Let's talk about that totality of the investigation. You're aware that Brian Higgins left first. He was the first to arrive at 34 Fairview, even before Brian Albert.
I am, yes.
And you're also aware that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed were among the last to arrive. So they didn't step outside together, right?
They didn't step outside, but once he was invited, according to your narrative, wouldn't they have a discussion outside where he was invited to come out?
So, Mr. Jackson, I just want to ask you, how much longer do you think?
Not long. I can finish this up if you give me probably 10 minutes.
All right. Jurors are saying yes. Is it okay with all the jurors? We usually break at 4.
I don't want to overstep. I'm happy to stop now, but I think I can get it finished.
I'd like to finish with this witness and not have to bring it back again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the accommodation.
Okay, we're going long.
You're aware that, according to the tape, John O'Keefe left about 10 minutes after Brian Higgins, or so.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. You would agree, as a homicide investigator, not every death starts off as an intended murder, correct?
I will agree to that.
Sometimes a fight could go wrong, and you intend to fight and duke it out. Something goes wrong, something goes south, someone dies, correct?
Objection.
Is that something that it's beyond the scope, so move along.
As a homicide investigator?
You were asked on redirect examination about taillight pieces that were found by the CERT team. I want to ask you real quick about that. Your testimony was you recall that the CERT team found a large piece of red taillight material during their initial search. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, yes.
Okay. Did the CERT, you had a debriefing with the CERT team, correct?
Not the CERT team. I had a debrief with the members of our unit at the Canton PD conference room. I do not have a memory of the CERT team being there.
Do you recall ever being told or informed that the CERT team actually recovered maybe 5 or 6 pieces, maybe 7 pieces of small plastic material in addition to the shoe? As opposed to a large piece of red taillight.
The memory that stands out to me that I have is that there was a large piece of plastic recovered. It wasn't a shard. It was significant enough that, shown on the photograph taken by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
And do you recall that the CERT team, or were you ever informed that the CERT team found those, according to the CERT team, within inches of one another, within about a 2-foot square radius?
I don't have a memory of where they found them exactly. I wasn't there.
Okay. You were asked about the taillight. You were shown a photograph of the
Small
taillight.
pile of taillight fragments.
Where almost the entirety of that lens material is missing. It's gone. Correct?
Yes.
And you remember talking to Jen McCabe originally, interviewing her within days of this incident happening, correct?
It was the 29th we interviewed.
As a matter of fact, the day.
The day, yes.
Do you remember her saying that the taillight was cracked/broken?
She communicated that over the phone to Michael Proctor, which was then documented later on in the interview report from earlier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it was documented within the interview report.
Okay. And in that interview report, it doesn't say the entire lens cap of that taillight is gone. Correct?
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
I don't know what she described to Michael Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans belonging to Mr. O'Keefe just a second ago.
Yes.
And you noted that on his, what would be his left rear pocket, there was a stain?
Yes.
You said that was an apparent grass stain, and it was green.
Based on my observation here holding them, that's what it appeared, yes. Maybe dirt, maybe other substances.
That was my question. Did you seek to analyze what that discoloration was from? Or have caused that to be analyzed by the crime lab or anybody else?
The genes were processed. I don't know what their protocol is to analyze it. They process those genes. There's pieces missing from cuttings and stuff like that.
Understood. So as you sit here, you have no evidence at all that those are grass stains, correct?
Strictly my experience of knowing grass stains and observing it.
Could be dirt.
Could be.
Could be oil or grease.
I don't know about that, but
they look brown. Stains look brown, doesn't it?
there's different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green. Different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants from being dragged?
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator, right?
That's good.
Did you get those stains from being dragged? It's just a common sense question.
My common sense dictates that it was not a drag, a mark, because it would have linear characterizations, and it would be both buttocks that are engaged in contact with the ground while being dragged.
Or if he was being dragged and he had something in his pocket, or being dragged at an angle. Being dragged through a crease spot that was only on the left. What about all those possibilities?
Again, my opinion, common sense dictates it was not the case.
But you certainly didn't take any action to investigate forensically what those stains actually were.
I did not know.
By the way, can you lose a shoe from being dragged?
It depends. I guess you can, depending on how loose it is.
you said that there was no information that you had regarding Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe having any animosity toward each other prior to January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
But you did, we talked about, now let's talk about on January 29th, 2022. In your experience, does drinking alcohol increase a likelihood or increase the possibility of getting into an altercation?
I would say, in my experience, in my opinion, the alcohol could become a social lubricant and exacerbate emotions. But to speak in a definitive form here, I can't.
To speak in the definitive form.
That's a common phrase, right?
Never
English
heard that
is a
before.
third
No.
language.
Beer guts? You ever heard that one?
I've heard of beer gut, but not beer guts.
Having the guts to walk up to someone you might not otherwise walk up to in a bar because you had too much to drink. Is that what beer muscles could mean?
I would say maybe liquid courage.
Even better. What does liquid courage mean?
Giving you courage that truly shouldn't be there.
That you might not otherwise have if you weren't drinking.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we wrap this up, Mr. Jackson?
I'm trying, Judge. I won't be much longer. You had evidence that Brian Higgins had been drinking most of the afternoon and evening or most of the night, that evening and night, at the time that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walked into the waterfall, correct?
I had information that Brian Higgins had returned from a police officer's funeral and then went to Waterfall after he changed clothes and took a shower.
Went to the hillside before he went to Waterfall and started drinking there, correct?
I don't have an independent memory of that, no.
But you did, at the time, you didn't pull the tape at Gesundheit. At the time, you didn't pull the tape at CPD that we saw with Brian Higgins on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, correct? You didn't have that information.
I'm sorry, can you give me a reference when
Sure.
at the time?
At the beginning of your investigation, January 29th and probably the next, let's call it a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have that information, correct?
No, we did not.
And you didn't seek that information from CPD at that time.
No, I had no information that he went there.
Okay, and you didn't extract his phone, correct?
That's correct.
And finally, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination, did you have any evidence that John actually went into the home? Did you ever interview Trooper Guarino during the course of your investigation, at any time?
Interview him?
Talk to him about his extraction of John O'Keefe's phone and any of the data that came off of his phone.
No.
You did not realize that Trooper Guarino had information that John O'Keefe took 36 steps covering a distance of some 84 feet that would have placed Mr. O'Keefe inside the residence at 12:32:16.
Objection.
Did you have any information from Trooper Guarino about steps that were logged on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
No, I did not.
Is that it, Mr. Jackson? You said finally. That's what I'm wondering.
May I have just a moment?
Yes.
I'm trying to wrap this up. I only have a couple more things, but I may be able to.
More finalies.
One question.
Deanie Mullis Diver, thanks for the gifted 5 memberships.
As you sit here now, are you aware of whether or not there's evidence that John O'Keefe, the phone describes John O'Keefe's phone taking 36 steps, covering a distance of about 84 feet at 12:32:16 on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Are you aware of that?
I am not, Your Honor.
Okay, the answer is...
The answer was?
No, I'm not aware of that.
All right.
Wow.
Chris, I appreciate you staying late. So, Trooper Lieutenant, you do not have to return.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So,
Thank you.
folks, those same cautions, please do not discuss this case.
Nobody follow me in the
Anyone,
bathroom.
Don't do any independent
It's not cool.
research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be careful with your social media use. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
The rest of the jury.
Counsel at sidebar. That's how we're going to end the day. While they go to sidebar, oh my goodness. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of the testimony we have that basically says Michael Proctor did not have opportunity to plant taillight pieces at the scene before pieces were found? What do you make of that? The timeline just doesn't allow it. Did anyone count how many steps it would take to the front door of 34 Fairview? It's small. We did it a little bit last time. I can pull it up. Remind me tomorrow, Barbara. Remind me tomorrow. What we'll do is we'll pull up the Google Earth. We'll do a quick analysis with measurements from an orthorectified map and get some measurements as far as distances go. I seem to think it was 34 feet from the road to the front door. No, it was 34 Fairview. Close, 34F. We'll measure it tomorrow, and we'll check it out and see what's happening. I don't think Yuri Buchanan has an ounce of credibility, says Melissa. He still said the investigation was done with integrity and honor. Thanks, Barbara. We'll try to do that tomorrow. Just remind me. Just say Google Earth measurements. Jury's thinking hard after this guy, 100%. What a great ending for the defense to say, so you don't know that his phone shows he took, walked 84 feet, 32 steps after he was dropped off? You don't know that? I did on Google Earth, 85 feet is in the house. But isn't that taking their word for the timeline, or is it proof? Well, the jury has to believe some evidence, right? I guess they could disbelieve all the evidence that's offered in court, but they've got to believe something. There was a little bit where the judge sort of backed up and retraced her steps a little bit. But there's one part I want to show you. Let's see. First, let's see if we can get this.
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
Let's see if we can bring this up.
I don't know what she described to Micah Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans.
Okay, we've got the jeans question.
I don't know about that, but...
They look brown. Stains look brown, doesn't it?
There's different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green, different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants...
In your experience?
...from being dragged?
Listen to this one-liner from...
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator. That was a little one-liner that AJ got in. Probably could have been objected to, but it was close enough to the line that it was allowed. A little zinger right there at the end. Let's see, the other video I wanted to show you. Let me bring this one up. It's going to be down the timeline. This is Yuri smiling, and they get a name wrong. And I know there's been a lot of memes and everything about names, including Yuri's, and we're not going to do that in chat. Some inappropriate names, but Brennan gets the name wrong of somebody in court, and Yuri thinks it's a little funny. Here, watch this.
I do know, yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco? Guarino, my son.
Yes, I am.
Apparently, Gianturco and Guarino are very close sons. Buchanan's like, look at the eyebrow go up, boing. He's like, whoa, you messed that one up. But it was close. All right. Anything else? How do we know the timestamp is on time? We don't. We just have to, at some point, you have to just take the evidence for what it is and choose to believe it or not. All right. Brennan's handwriting is terrible, I guess. That's why he doesn't do reports. Yeah, no more social lubricant for anybody. That's not a thing anymore. We need an AJ command. The problem is all his zinger one-liners he gives, he walks away from the microphone, and he does it to throw the witness off because it shows the witness following. He's in control. It's a power trip. I guess they teach it at law school or something. But he walks away from the microphone, and it's not a good copy. I don't know. I can put some work into it and see if I can clean it up, but we'll see. Alley Cat says, I feel Yuri is very credible. AJ is the one I doubt. Is this witness totally done, or does Brennan get the last word? He is totally done, Mary. The judge has excused him. He does not have to come back tomorrow. With either side calling Proctor is what I meant. It was risky for both sides. I wonder if they're going to call him. I wonder if defense will call him, because they're basically going to drag through the same thing again. It's just rehashing. It's cumulative. It's just like, we've already been through this once. It's just with a different witness. That's what oftentimes makes a case seem very, very slow, is when we go over the same evidence with multiple people. Got a call coming in. Hang on.
Call from Corey, a.k.a. Fish Farm, to accept.
Hey, Corey. Thanks for getting through. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Wonderful. I have to say,
Good.
you sent me a bunch of pictures, and I don't think I can show them.
That's okay. I didn't even kind of think about that. Well, like the one I did, but the rest I was like, yeah. That's okay.
and for just clarification to everybody, what it was, Corey, was that you specifically in the photograph?
That is me,
okay.
yeah.
You had the unfortunate experience of being the victim in a hit and run where you were a pedestrian and the driver was drunk. Is that correct?
Yeah, he didn't run. He was there. He was drunk, but he ran through a stop sign where I was with 3 friends, and somehow they ended up in the grass with 0 injuries. There's a picture that I sent you with the 3 of them standing there, and I ended up with severe injuries and life-flighted to the trauma center as a Jane Doe. So,
let me ask you, first of all, the pictures show, I would say, extreme bruising. Was that
those
were
accurate? Abrasions?
Those are abrasions.
Yeah,
was
no.
that from the road?
Yeah, that's what they think. That's my thing when people say those injuries couldn't have happened from an accident, because even in my accident where there was witnesses and other people were hit and we kind of know how it started, there's no definite where my body made contact with his truck and then the road and then where I landed. So what the cops had to guess in my situation is that maybe his tailgate hit me, because his truck kind of hit us and kind of spun to the side, and I ended up like way far away from the others, of course, and right in the middle of he was pulling kind of out onto like a more of a highway kind of thing. I'm from Canada, and we were vacationing in Texas, so I don't really know how to explain the roadways and stuff. But
can you guesstimate, as far as the impact where your friends who were hit as well but did not receive any injuries, did they know about how fast the vehicle was going when he struck them?
Okay, well, I'm from Canada, so we do kilometers.
I'll convert it. We'll be good. We'll convert it here.
Yeah, so since he wasn't planning on stopping and was just planning to go straight on the freeway, I think they were saying between 40 and 50 kilometers.
Okay, so that does put it right around. Somebody math faster than me. I was going to do it on my phone, but you're on the phone, so 25 to 32 miles per hour. That's in the ballpark on the high end. On the high end of, I think, how fast they said the vehicle was going here, right? So that's right. Virtually the same speed. And the reason why I wanted you to call specifically, first of all, I feel terrible that you had to experience that. That was probably excruciatingly painful, and everything else that comes with being a victim of a horrendous crime like that was terrible. And my apologies that's your experience coming to America. So sorry about that. But the point I was interested in was when you mentioned your friends having also been hit by the vehicle and not being injured. Because here we have, in this case, we've got John O'Keefe, who the prosecution says was hit by a vehicle but does not sustain any injuries that would indicate that occurred. Were your friends thrown any distance from the impact?
Yeah, they were thrown like the opposite direction onto the grass, and we were all walking in like a horizontal line. And so that's where, and I wish they gave me the police report, because of course I did get a settlement and I have all my hospital records and stuff, but not an actual police report, because they knew what happened. He stayed on scene, and my 3 friends were witnesses and involved. So, I lost my train of thought. Just how they kind of went we were all in a horizontal line, just walking like across where the stop sign was, across the crosswalk, and he just kind of came barreling through, and we were all side by side, I guess you could say. So I guess the only thing the cops could try to figure out why my injuries were so severe was that when the truck kind of spun around, the tailgate flopped down and hit me or something, because there really no one saw the play-by-play as I flew through the air, right?
And hopefully, thankfully, you don't remember it either. So
I don't, and I think that's another thing for me, like with the Jen McCabe stuff, is I don't know what truly are my memories and what are what my friend told me, that she came up to the highway and I was face down and she rolled me over, and since my bathing suit was torn, exposing me, she covered me back up a little bit, and then I think I remember the helicopter ambulance guys asking me if I was on medication, but you get lost.
That's the next bit you recall. Did your friends experience any broken bones, bruising, any?
No, none at all. They actually, 2 of them didn't even get taken to hospital or emerge, and then my one friend who I went down there with Canada from, she did, and she's the one standing in that one picture where you can just see a little bit of dirt rash on her arm, and the only reason she went to the hospital is she had previously had a broken neck in life, so she wanted to get checked out. So
well, that's fascinating, because obviously we're wondering how this could happen according to the state's story if his body doesn't show the signs of an impact. And so you sharing your experience where there was clearly an accident, where people were clearly hit but didn't receive substantial injuries, gives us something to think about. And
for me, it was like I was 19 at the time, and my mom is a nurse, and so she flew down to be with me, and she was surprised at how I had serious injuries, but not injuries she would expect. Like, example, no bruising at all, no broken limbs or anything, but the internal bleeding that I had, the internal injuries were surprising, and the fact that I had this big abrasion, laceration on the side of my head and face, she was very shocked I didn't have a head injury. So I think it also depends on where your arms and whatever flail when you're after you've been hit to protect yourself, maybe. I'm not sure.
You didn't have any random dog bites on you when you...
Unfortunately, no.
Well, hopefully, give me your name one more time. I know your YouTube name, whatever you want to be known by.
Oh, my name is Corey. I used to be under Corey Menard, but now I'm Fish Farm and Family. So yeah.
Awesome. Fish Farm and Family. I like the fact that you guys raise trout. I'm a big fan of trout. I love them. Tiger, brown, brook, rainbow, they're all great. Corey, hopefully you've made a full recovery and life is great and wonderful for you. Thank you for sharing that. I hate to sort of rush you off the phone, but I have to go set up for a thing I'm doing in town for a live stream. But
no worries at all.
Thank you for sharing that. That does give us a little bit of insight and knowledge into the situation where hopefully most of us haven't had the experience that you have with an accident. So thank you, thank you, Corey. Appreciate you making the call.
Thank you.
All right,
okay,
we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Interesting. I realize every accident is different, right? Everything is different. The scenario's a tiny change in angle and differences. You can't say apples to apples. It didn't happen here, so it didn't happen there. But it does give us some thought. With that, I do have to wrap things up. I do apologize. I've got all my gear sitting in the hallway. I've got to make a phone call and get to the city offices very soon. Got a call here. Hang on.
Call from.
Oh, hang on one second. Master Eden, it's not picking up. Hang on one second. Master Eden, I've got you on speaker for some reason, but I can't. There you are. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me clear now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. It is me. It seems like the judge is kind of projecting a little bit to the jury, kind of making the defense look a little bad, saying, oh, it has the right to put this in because of this, or the comment she made earlier in the trial. We don't want to waste y'all's time, We want to make your time not wasted.
It was, it was more subtle today, but how readily she would overrule the objections of the defense.
Right.
And there was one time particular where AJ made an objection. She said overruled, and he said again, objection, meaning like, judge, this one. Yeah. This is the law here. And she overruled it the second time, and then it went forward, and then she had to stop and interrupt. She's like, going back a few minutes, let me just clarify something. Like, yeah.
Right. It seems to me that she's being a little projective to the jury, making the defense look like, oh, they're the bad people, and I have to, explain, that he shouldn't have done this, and then the whole time comment. It comes off to me as if she's trying to project. And I just wanted to make sure if anybody else noticed that.
Yeah. I think we're seeing it. Hopefully it's not pervasive. I don't know. Right. Master Eden, I apologize for pushing you off the phone. I've got to play the music and get out of here so I can go set up for my gig. But
you enjoy yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Will do. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, my friend.
You too.
We'll see you. Bye. All right. With that, we are going to wrap things up. We're going to be back tomorrow morning following this gavel to gavel as we do day 15 tomorrow. No more Yuri. But tomorrow, if we have the kids on the stand, we do expect to have at least some downtime. That's probably going to be at least an hour of testimony of those kids on the stand. We'll have to follow Twitter as that happens and just get some information from the courtroom. We'll get through that. Those are the only two witnesses we expect to be off camera, off mic during this trial. But we'll be back tomorrow. The snake is still MIA. I don't think Mrs. R.A. knows about the snake. It was climbing our house. Like it was on our window. That snake was on our window on like the glass going up. Crazy. They're looking for more birds. Okay, she knows. I'm in trouble. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe. We go live again tomorrow morning about 8:30 as we return to our regular start time. Today was a one-off with a 10 o'clock start, but we'll be back to 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow, and that's it. He's in our attic now. Thank you. She's going to kill me. All right. You guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
In front of the Walmart.